Welcome to the Mercury Podcast.
I feel I've made it now as a podcaster because I have my first comedian.
I'm your first stand-up comedian.
You're my first comedian.
See, that's the thing. I don't even know if I'm a comedian in the traditional sense. You know, I remember as a child, I was basically the class clown. Like in all the spaces I was in, I was like side-eyed and everyone was annoyed with me because I would make really stupid jokes. A lot of the time perverted because it was a Christian community, and so that's how you got people to laugh.
Great.
And people hated it. I think some people, especially the mentors, were so annoyed with me at times because we would like have these belly laughs that wouldn't stop, and it was so distracting. And then I came to the US and had this traumatizing year, and then it was gone. Like my humor was just gone. I was a very serious, sad person.
Oh man.
Yeah, seriously. I literally thought for probably 15 years that this is just something I lost, you know? And it was a very situational funniness back in the day. And I don't think I have that back, but I can, on an intellectual level, write funny stuff. At least it sounds funny in my head, and then work it out.
I think it's hilarious.
Thank you. Work it out with the punchlines. I maybe we should talk about that because I had my first big fail. At least.
Oh, tell me, you bombed like really, really bad.
I think so. Others might
That's
say
part
no.
of it. That's like when you're super famous, then you can talk about that.
Yeah, well, I still want to talk to you about it because I think it's pretty funny.
Yeah, tell me.
Because but let me finish real quick. Anyway, so okay, let's just go into the other thing because I think it's funny. For the app, I went to Germany to be backstage because I told my cousin, I have no idea what's going on. I don't even know like the half of the terms that I'm using. I have no concept of what's happening on tour, what's important, what people value, what like how you streamline it, the roles, whatever. So he's like, oh yeah, you should just come, because he still works as a sound operator for a few German artists. So he got me on the crew for Montez.
And that's why you got all those nice pictures backstage. And yeah.
Yes, it's funny because I've never heard of Montez before, and he's huge in Germany. Like
He is
we
huge.
filled
Yeah.
arenas, with 10, 12,000 people. Anyways. And my bus driver, the one who's like operating the nightliner, once the show is over, you get in there, you sleep through the night, they drive you to the next location, right? And when she heard that I live in the States, she grabbed her food and she came over to me and sat down next to me and started telling me all of these horror stories about how the American artists behave on her tour bus. And I was taking mental notes because I thought it was fucking hilarious, that she's like, they're such pigs, they don't even sit down to pee, and then pee splatters everywhere on the mirrors and the floor and the toilet paper. and she tried to talk to them, and they're like, my grandfather never sat down and my dad never sat down. Why would I start sitting down right now? And so she protested and made them clean their own bus, which is apparently very unusual in Germany. Like the bus drivers clean the bus, and in the States it's the opposite. The bus drivers they get a hotel and leave the bus to the crew. Anyways, and I wrote a set and about how American artists behave on the bus.
But you performed in the wrong country.
Exactly. But my whole punchline, Lars, earlier this year, I don't know if you ever saw that clip. I had this, like, I had a mushroom trip with Candace actually, and this part came out that just wants to be disgusting and live this divine dumpster life and just be like shitting in a Home Depot bucket and having a pig live in my house and rub up against my butt in my bed and just being disgusting all around, and it was a whole thing that I did People loved it. I think it was pretty funny because it was about me. But my punchline with the previous one was that I realized, oh shit, I think that's why I'm still here after 20 plus years with no plans of going back, because I'm one of you disgusting pigs, right? And everyone just stares at me. Like, there were no laughs. It was like 7 minutes of me talking about the things.
Oh no.
And people just didn't laugh. And I'm like, oh, just thinking about it right now, it's like, that was so bad. Didn't I?
That's
Yeah, it was embarrassing. Well, I don't know if it was embarrassing, but like when you realize that it's not landing, and you speed up because you're trying to get through it, and then you lose the connection altogether. And I don't know. Anyways, but I saved it with the second half that I ended up posting. I didn't post my fail because I don't know, I'm not ready yet. Maybe I should do that just for exposure therapy. But yeah, I feel like it was the first
I
time.
think if you post it, you should explain the story in the captions.
How I failed.
How you bombed with this.
Yeah, maybe I should.
Because then even the people who don't find the piece itself funny, they will find it funny that nobody found it funny.
That I bombed. And it's so funny because every non-American I told the story was laughing their asses off.
Mm-hmm.
So you're right, it was the wrong audience. It was too close to home. It was just not well received at all. Or maybe I was just not funny. That's the other thing. Maybe I didn't say it in a funny way.
Well, I will judge it once you post it.
Yeah. Now I'm scared. What if it was a personal failure?
No, it will be good. It will be good.
Anyways, yeah, so that's the story of me. And it's like one of those tricky things where I thought it was going to be so good.
Yeah.
Like, I have really good material. This is gold. And then it was just, oh my gosh, what's happening? This is not going as planned. And then other elements where I think, this is not good and I shouldn't be saying this, and they end up being like super funny. And yeah, I haven't figured that part out yet. But maybe there's nothing to figure out. I always try to figure shit out. Anyways.
Well, maybe a lot is just trial and error.
And I think also context. Like I think I probably could redo some of my older sets, and that's the ones that I thought they didn't do so well, and even including the most recent one, in a different setting with different audience members, and it would be a totally different story. So it's just, I think it feels very random. Like I'm not in control. I'm just here to show up and do the thing that inspired me, and then the rest is not up to me.
So what you say is it feels like life.
Yes. And I'm not particularly good at life. That's the other thing.
What do you mean you're not good at life? What does it look like to be good at life? I mean, you're still surviving. You've procreated. You're doing all the things you're supposed to.
You know, it's so funny.
From a evolutionary point of view.
That's the problem. I'm doing the things I'm supposed to be doing. Have you ever read this book?
No, Alan Chapman.
It's the same guy who did Advanced Magic for Beginners.
Yes, that one I read.
And he had this little passage. Oh shit! Let me find it. What that I really, really related to. Shit, you can cut this part out.
Now we will just speed up the exactly.
Oh yeah, here it is. So he talks about how the teachings that he gives are foolish things. That following this inner knowing or this silent knowing that there must be something more than just this life is foolish, following that. So he says, And who does not know that these teachings I give are foolish things, fit only for the children, or for the childish, for people who cannot accept the realities of life and so require comfort. And that really hit home, because I feel like I could never accept the realities of this planet, if that makes sense. Like, to me, everything felt so harsh and cold. And why would you want to be here? Who does that voluntarily come down here? Like, it was always a resistance to fully incarnating. That's the best way I can put it. And I still think I haven't done that. Like, I still don't think I'm fully in my body and enjoying all the sensations that come along with life and being good at alchemizing them, because I still feel very much victimized by a lot of the things
So
that happen here.
so you feel like if you would be good at life, you would be like more incarnate. You would enjoy this more. You would be more fully here. You would be better able
Yes.
to alchemize.
I think I would throw my... It's
I
like,
don't know about it. I think it might be part of the whole thing might be this resistance and
you mean the resistance is part of the experience?
yes,
Yeah,
it's
yeah,
like when you're watching a horror movie
yeah.
and
Which I never do.
you're not like, oh no, I'm still scared. That's the point.
It's true. It's true, but I never watch horror movies. That's the thing. I don't voluntarily expose myself to stuff that I know will haunt me or will hurt me. And when the whole point is getting hurt and then alchemizing that hurt. So that's what I guess I would...
Yet here you are in a human body having a human experience.
Yeah. Yeah. And I do have to say, and it's hard, it's like one of those spiritual experiences, or I don't even know if I want to call it spiritual, but it was profound, that it's really hard to talk about. And it feels weird to just randomly talk about it. But I was at a retreat that was exactly 2 years ago. It was November 2023 on Ibiza. And we had formed these triads where two people would support the third person in whatever process that we were going through.
Yeah.
And I was the last one. And my grandfather, my last grandparent, had just died the day before.
Oh.
And I found out. It was like the first time I was back in Europe after 5 years with the whole COVID thing. And then my grandfather happens to die while I'm in Ibiza. And so my door into all of this, and he was the guy who probably hurt me the most, like the man in my life who hurt me the most.
Mm-hmm.
Because I was so defiant and so chaotic and all the things that he wasn't, as this German, like, disciplinary, authoritarian. Authoritarian.
And from his generation.
Yes.
It's a different
Oh
caliber.
my gosh, so much. And I was just like, fuck you all the time. Like, I wasn't good in school. I was the only one, besides one other cousin, who didn't go to the gymnasium. Like, I was Realschule all the way and barely made it there. Like, I was even like the Haupt, like, I was 0.1 away from ending up in the Hauptschule.
Oh man.
I know.
Good job.
Anyway, so I was like so defiant, couldn't care less about academics, and he was all about academics and like sitting down studying, and I just wasn't. I just wanted to do art all day. Anyways, so he felt like he really needed to put me on the right path, and he was quite violent, intimidating, threatening. I always had this anxiety around him, and in a lot of ways, yeah, he traumatized me deeply, and he died. And so that was my entry door, the grief. And I went into that process. And I have no idea what happened and how I got there. But I remember being in that room with, I don't know, 30 other women. And I was just screaming and thrashing and like angry with God and saying stuff like, why do I have to be here? Like, just, I'm like, what the fuck is happening? But it was like one of those deepest parts where I could just finally, I didn't even know that part existed in me. That I really didn't want to be here. I was so angry with God. Why did you send me back down here? Why do I have to do this again? This is a fucking shit show, and I remember being in it. And then my two support people kind of started freaking out. And I heard the facilitator, she's like, don't fix her, don't fix her, don't fix her. I could like it, but it was so far away. And I figured I wasn't even consciously in it, but I know that she meant me. Like, I could just feel that they were trying to, oh my gosh, are you okay? I'm like, just let me fucking go through this thing. Right. And then in the sharing circle after, I don't think people realized that it was me, but they said, and then when someone screamed, I don't want to be here, I had this whole realization just of how much I want to be here.
Oh.
And it touched other people. It was like this collective process. And I was so, I couldn't even speak afterwards. Like, that was the first time I touched something that was so honest and real inside myself that I didn't even know existed, and was probably the whole reason why I just never showed up, why I was hiding for the previous 20 years, So that's what I mean. Like, it's almost like a karmic, and the facilitator, she did end up saying, like, I don't know if you guys felt this, but what happened here today was a massive karmic release. And I knew that, like, I never had a felt experience or visceral experience of that before. People always just talk about it, I'm like, yes. And then my life took off after that.
So how did your life take off after that? What has changed? Do you feel like you have a different energy and everything goes easier, or what is it like?
I think it was the first time in my adult life where I became aware of the impact I'm having on other people. And maybe the right word that people use is my own personal power, but I don't really like that word power. But it's like, I felt up until that point I was so insignificant and so small and so forgotten. And here I was having this massive release that had such a positive impact on others. And I have to say, right after this retreat, I flew to Germany to be at the funeral for my grandfather.
Yeah.
And they had asked us grandkids if we wanted to say a few words. And my cousin of the same age and I were the only ones who volunteered. And I was at the retreat still. And there's no other way to say it. I channeled this whole thing that I wanted to say. What he did to me, how he showed up. And I was fucking scared. I was so scared. I had visions of, I think they're just going to set up a pyre and burn me at the stake right outside of that little chapel.
Whoa.
Like, how dare Corinna walk into the space and then trash talk her own grandfather? But also, part of the alchemizing, if you want to use that word, was that I kind of I included a pivot, because 2 years prior after I had a child, you know, and I started reading all of these books on how, you know, children are affected um, with this is such a big topic, Lars. This is like, I could talk about this forever.
Why we have 3 hours?
Well, yeah. To in a nutshell, my pregnancy started my spiritual journey. I think that's when life took off, but like in baby steps. This book was recommended to me, The Conscious Parent by Shefali Tsabari. And it just blew my fucking mind, because it was the first time I was exposed to these awakened like awareness around. I think what's his name, Eckhart Tolle, he wrote the foreword. First time I heard of him, and then I ended up later reading his book, and I'm no longer like into either one of them, but that opened the whole realm of, holy shit, I've been in this like teeny tiny sublunar consciousness where I could only see myself, and there's so much more out there. Anyways, but I was reading about all of these books, developmental books, because I was, the only thing I knew was I did not want to hurt my child the way I was hurt in my childhood. That was the only thing that mattered to me. And so I was devouring books on the topic of how to raise your child in this aware state. And so as part of that, I realized that, oh my gosh, I wouldn't be so obsessed with all of this, and I wouldn't be doing this if it weren't for my childhood wounds. Like, they drive me. And so one random day, I decided to write a letter to my grandfather. So it was about 2 years before he died. And I listed all of my grievances. I said, this is what you did, this is what you did, this is what you did, and this is how it affected me. And yet I thank you, because I wouldn't be doing this work now if it weren't for my experiences. And I wouldn't be able to offer my own daughter. Like, it was basically like, I realized what I'm doing is an intergenerational ending of a lot of the karma, or the patterns that were in my family, because I wasn't passing them on to my daughter. And so I thanked him for giving me the lessons. So I didn't say it like this, but giving me the lessons so I could work through shit, so it ends with me. That's what I said. It ends with me. And my mom contacted me and called me and said that my grandfather had called. Like, it was a couple of years, weeks after I sent that letter. And he never responded to my letter, but he let my mom know that it was such a blessing to receive a letter like that. And he read it many times already. And so I knew I had already made peace, and still I needed to speak something in front of a whole audience of people.
In a church, at a
At the
funeral.
funeral. Yes. And so the pivot was, again, the same thing I wrote in my letter, that, and I thank him, because in a lot of ways he has been my greatest teacher in how not to show up. And my cousin went first, and she lived in the same village, and so they had a lot of interaction, and he went to the circus with them, and went to the movies, something he never ever did with us, or me specifically. Like, I never got that side of him.
Oof.
I was just dumped there over the summer, and then had to endure it. And my mom didn't care at the time that I was just not doing well. None of us was doing well. And regretted it later, that she didn't listen. Anyway, that's a different topic. But she went first, and she said all these beautiful, loving things about my grandfather. And I started shaking behind the podium, because I knew what I was about to say. And so it was my turn, and I went up, and I had my little spiel memorized, luckily, because I don't think I would have gotten through it. But I was shaking, and I was looking out to these 200, gray-haired bubbleheads, and you could hear a pin drop. Like it was I just thinking about it right now, I'm like, holy shit, wow. But that came out of that retreat. Like I found the strength and the energy to do something like this. And when I was done, I sat down next to my brother, and he's like, Corinna, when you started talking, I became so nauseous. And I'm so glad you went for it, you know? And I'm like, oh, because no one knew what I was going to say. And then when they took out the casket, you know, my aunt swoops in and she's like, Corinna, I'm so proud of you. And that's when literally people started coming up to me and just thanking me for speaking the thing that no one wanted to talk about, because no one talked about the side of my grandfather, and everyone knew it. Everyone experienced it. And even after I was done, the pastor, he's like, you could tell like he had to change his little speech, like, oh, so that just happened. And he came up to me later, you know, and thanked me in person. Like, I'm so glad someone from the family spoke to this, because he knew about it. You know, my uncle and my mom told him about the side, and he just didn't, you know, people don't want to talk about these things.
It's hard to bring it up as the pastor if the family is not like if the family is pretending it's not there. Like, who are you as an outsider to put the finger in the wound?
Right. So all these people, again, you know, another experience right after that powerful experience, people thanking me for saying the truth, and then wanting to know, so how did you get over it? I'm like, I'm not over it. I'm still so sad. Anyways, but it was like, whoa, I'm making an impact, you know. And again, it was like this that's what I mean. Like, it took off in the sense that I started, it was like the first inkling again of believing in my worthiness, and that just kept leading me on. And then, you know, the magical spaces that you and I both met in were also a huge initiation into even more of that personal power, if you will. And back to the relationship that I used to have when I was very young with God, that I completely lost. And when that went out the window is when I completely retreated. Like, there was nothing, I was just too scared by myself to be out in the world. So I think that was that sort of my coming out again, like my announcement, because I the part that I forgot to mention in that process at the retreat, the facilitator asked this question after a while, like, now go where it scares you the most. And I knew that what scares me the most is giving up my resistance. Like, it's easy to be in, no, I don't want to be here. I don't want to do this. This is shitty. Why? Scary is, where do you want me? Okay, I'm here already. What do you want me to do? Like, how do you want me to show up? Where am I needed? You know, that was scary. So that also came out. That was part of like just this complete desperate, what the fuck am I supposed to be doing here? You know, like, show me. I don't know. I have no idea. So, yeah, it's like a return to God, but a different version of God, not the one that was given to me and conditioned into me, but the one that I'm still working on myself, you know. So anyways.
Wow. Oh my God, you're on a journey. You're on an adventure.
You know, and when you texted me the Hanged Man and the Sun,
Mm-hmm.
I don't know if you read my message. I'm like, holy shit, this is just a the symbolism of what I'm going through.
Maybe you can give me the picture, then I will just like blend it into to the video thing, or you can hold it up to the camera. Yeah.
I'll send it to you. Yeah, it's just, I love my tarot friends. You know, they they make the unconscious conscious.
Yes.
Like it's so insane to me how I'm using these symbols and I'm not even aware of them, but they're everywhere. You know, a couple of days ago, I was looking for my art that may be in a gallery in January.
Oh,
And I
exciting.
found,
Is it the Scream?
it's what?
The mother of screams?
She's
How did you call it?
mother of all screams. Yeah. It's going to be my sculptures, but I also made a shit ton of abstract watercolor paintings that I was looking for, that I'm just going to have on the walls. But while I was looking for these paintings, I found another picture that I chose before I even had kids. I'm like, oh, this is such a cute child's decor. I don't know. And it was a girl hugging like this huge teddy bear, but it looks sad and lonely and cold. And I realized, whoa, like I unconsciously chose. And the other thing, this is insane. The other picture that I chose, and so sad, was Pinocchio, at least something that looked like Pinocchio, what's his name? I don't know. Sitting all alone in a room, like curled up, crying, and then a bird looking inside the window. And I'm like, this is what you wanted to hang up
Yep.
for your child? And I realized this is my shit. This is my shit because, you know, the girl hugging the bear ended up being my spirit animal, if you will. Like when you go on these shamanic journeys and they're like, oh, so what's your power spirit, like power animal, whatever they call it? It ended up being a bear. And I always had this like being on top of a bear and hugging it and feeling warm and fuzzy and it carrying me so much comfort. But I chose that picture already 15 years ago before I even consciously went into any of that work. You know, so it's like, again, the symbolism is everywhere.
Yeah.
It's crazy.
It is crazy.
It like the puzzle pieces coming together and it forming a picture, and you realize, wow, nothing is actually random. Everything seems so deliberate, and like little clues back to yourself, back to God, whatever you want to call it, you know. And just the inability to access it at the time, and suddenly you have the tools and the people and the circumstances that help you, you know, find your way back, which is the phase I'm in right now.
It's a good phase. It's much better than the one before.
Oh God, so depressing, Lars.
Before, you mean, but not now.
Before, yeah.
Yeah.
You know, and the other wild thing is, just a couple of weeks before I became pregnant, I decided something is wrong with me. I need to go to psychiatry and get myself checked out. And they officially diagnosed me with depression and prescribed me Prozac. And I picked it up. And I remember going back home and laying down in a hammock in my backyard and looking up at the tree and in hindsight, I think it was my very first intention where I'm like, I need to learn how to be okay with myself without medicating myself. And I never took it. And then 2 weeks later is when I got pregnant and I realized, oh, so well then here, take that child. You're going to be just fine by having a child and we're just going to get you started. Yeah. And that's what really actually started this spiritual journey, you know? And yeah.
That sounds like you are actually learning how to be okay with yourself.
I am. I am. It's yeah, I feel so blessed, Loris. I feel so blessed with all the support that I have, and the resources, and yeah. I don't even know how I deserved it. There's that voice. That's so funny. Speaking of the sun symbolism, one part of the great work is building that solar consciousness, or the solar body, right? And I don't know, the sun seems to be such a important symbol in my life. I'm all Leo, like all my personal planets are in Leo, in the 10th house, which is like the highest point of the sun, just burning down on you, right? And it's like I have my sun is in Leo, my Mars, Mercury, Venus, all conjunct midheaven. And I'm born, obviously, in August, Mariä Himmelfahrt. I don't know what that is in English, but so, and my mom chose for my baptism, she chose I don't know if it's a Bible verse or a song, but die Gott lieben werden sein wie die Sonne, die aufgeht in ihrer Pracht.
Wow. Again,
I
sun
know.
symbolism.
Again, sun symbolism, and translated, it's those who love God will be like the sun rising in all of its glory, I think is how I would translate it. So it was like, I remember as a child, like I loved sunrises and sunsets, especially pictures of sunrises and sunsets, and all I ever wanted as a child was to just be close to God. And back in the day, obviously, I was born into a Christian community. And so that was what I chose. Like, I was in my early teens, I was in this 24/7 prayer in my mind with God. Like, just constant conversation. And there was one afternoon, and I think I must have been 15 maybe. I was laying in bed, and the sun would come in and would go through the shades, and it threw these beautiful patterns on the wall. And I was talking to, almost like leaving breadcrumbs or a message to my future self, that Corinna, no matter who you are later, no matter what you believe, God is real. Like, this is fucking real. It exists. It's there for you. And it's literally like I just hammered it in. And I still remember that moment. And I have no idea how long I did that, but it's burned into my psyche that it's real and you will find your way back. Like, don't ever doubt this phenomenon. And of course, I ended up I just threw it all out the window when I got to college and took philosophy classes, and was already traumatized and in so much pain. And I loved my professor, and he's like, God is a hoax. God is fake. And I had all these now it was logic. I had all these logical arguments, why God doesn't exist. And I was very much in my mind. And the funny thing is, Lars, he was in his 60s already when I took his class. I actually wrote about it on my Instagram, if you guys want to find the funny essay. And he handed back the logic exams, our first logic exam, and he had this whole little speech where he went, well, this is the first time in my whole career that a student actually got 100% on the test. Not only that, the student also got the extra credit right. And then he walks over to me and he puts it down and I turn it around and I red as a tomato, fuck, wow. I was so proud of myself. And I loved him. I was at that point, I was not in my heart anymore. I was all up in here and everything had to go through this logic thing. And I was so deeply depressed during this time. And he also, I was thinking for myself. I was using my own brain cells. And I said it out loud and he just shot it down. Like that I don't get to cherry pick from different philosophical frameworks. Like I have to choose one over the other. And I'm like, why can't I just come up with my own shit? Anyways. So yeah, it was a dark time for me when I, what's the word? When I abandoned God. That's a good word. So yeah, sun symbolism, and here I am posting it like.
But it's somehow, I feel it's part of the whole thing is also the circle. And leaving paradise and then returning to paradise, and the dying God being dead, going through the underworld, then being resurrected.
Right. And so here's the thing, Lars. It's like I take it all way too serious and way too personal. And right now I'm in this phase of, oh my gosh, I just really want to go back to God and find God like I used to when I was childish and had this, childlike naivete about it. Like I know it was here and I lost it. And intellectually, I know it was there, and I try to find it again. And so I'm seeking again, and I'm like, I want to wake up. I want to find this layer that I lost, And I was talking to Candace, and she's like, "Yeah, Corinna, and can you enjoy the seeking?
Mm-hmm.
Like, can you get off on the seeking?
Yes.
Can I? Because it's sort of this melodrama of, oh God, like it feels way like I think I enjoy this unconsciously, obviously. I enjoy this like, oh, I'm so lost and I'm so, this
it
epic,
makes for good drama. It makes for good story.
Yeah, it's an epic like circle that I'm creating for myself of like I was there and I lost it all and I'm in all of this darkness, and then this grandiose like the sun rising in all of its glory again. Like I have to
right.
The stage is not fully set up yet,
Yeah, and but like once you figure out how to enjoy the night, it's like
right,
fun all day
and
round.
why can I always be in this? Like right now, I'm so aware of the whole drama that I'm creating, and like I'm a director and the producer and the actor and all of it, and it's just this grand Shakespearean type of setup, and then once the seeking ends, what do? Life gets kind of boring, or what? I don't know what's happening.
No, I think everything will be fun.
I think it's going to start again, probably.
Yeah, but on a different level.
on a different level, exactly. So yeah, and I've been debating on whether to even bring this up, because people always say, some things you just have to keep to yourself and like let it germinate in the dark, and then
people say that to you because that's what they say to themselves.
Yes, and also
and they don't really want to be called out by that, by you not keeping it to yourself.
Here's the thing, like when I was 14, 15 years old, again, part of this, I just want to see God and do nothing else with my life. I told my dad, Papa, I'm gonna be a nun. That's what I'm gonna do with my life. And then funnily, I was the only one in my circle of friends who graduated with a boyfriend. Everyone else always wanted a boyfriend. I'm like, I don't need a boyfriend. I'm just gonna be a nun. This is all. I don't need to worry about these earthly realms. Fuck relationships. Who needs that? I don't. And
Yeah, once you say that, the earthly realms come up with things to test if you really mean it.
It's true. It's true. So in this book, he talks about the test of faith, I think, the test of knowing, something like that. And I feel like I failed. I failed it by saying yes to a relationship that I ended up leaving after 20 years. Anyways, that's a different topic. But I know that this was like one of my few genuine, unadulterated, childish desires before the big T trauma happened in my life. And that's come up again, like this deep desire to now or never, going in a monastery. So I've been looking at monasteries in Germany.
Oh, good. Do it.
Yeah. And it's funny because I grew up Protestant and most of them are Catholic. I don't think there are any official covenants like that are Protestant. So I don't even know if I can. There needs to be things figured out. But they have Kloster auf Zeit, which is you go to a monastery for a
They'd be
certain
fine.
amount
They
of
need new
time.
people. Like
I need new people. Yeah, so I just feel it again. I feel that, and I don't know if it's something. Oh, and the other thing is, I found a documentary that I saved for myself 16 years ago, no less.
Whoa.
And I told my ex-partner, because he took all of the data, I'm like, I know that I used to have this folder on an external drive that I had to turn on, and then I would move my stuff over there in a folder named Corinna. And I think it was 2009 when I saw that documentary, but I'm not sure. But it was about nuns in Germany, and I knew that this is what I was gonna do. And sure enough, he found it, and it was there, 2009, Spiegel TV Reportage. And it had all the different featured monasteries in there. So it's been a thing. It's been a thing, and I'm like, is it something that I just need to get out of my system? Like it just won't let me alone, and I will. It's like one of those things you regret not having done in your life when you had the chance. And once I'm in it, I'm like, whoa, this is so not me. I don't want any of this, it's very claustrophobic and limiting, and I can't be myself, or it's gonna turn into something completely different, and then I'm glad that I did it either way.
But did you have that you did something and you before you were like, oh, I really feel like this is the thing for me, and then you were like, oh shit? Because I think that's not so common. Usually it's not.
Probably magic.
Ah, okay.
So okay, with magic, it was more the other way around. I'm like, oh shit, this is all the things I was ever told to stay away from
By the nuns.
I hope this podcast does not reach any of the monasteries or nuns that I'll be working with.
They will be fine. They will be like, yeah, they'll be fine.
Yeah, but it's magic and the occult had such a draw, because it's the other thing. Again, as a teenager, I'm a full-blown goth telling my dad I want to be a nun, and that part of me was always there. It was alive in the way I dressed and appeared to the outside world. It was the only way to be authentic in this. Like, I obviously couldn't wear a turned around cross, like upside down cross, or like a pentagram. That didn't go over well with the Christian community, and I was a Christian, so I didn't even want that. But I still had the desire to dress like I am part of the occult, And part of the trauma that I experienced was that this part of me was completely demonized. Like it felt like the thing that was the most authentic about myself was turned into something evil. And the way I described it to a mentor once, that I'm standing on one side of, I don't know, a river, and people standing on the other side and telling me, where you are, there is no light. Light can't reach you. Again, the sun symbolism of light, it's so, like, the way you are inherently is dark and bad. And it fucked me over. I had such an identity crisis for over a decade after that. Like I hated myself. Why am I like this? What the fuck is wrong with me? And then I completely rejected. Oh, that's the word I was looking for earlier. I completely rejected God, because it was like a doubling down almost on what everyone's saying. Well, okay, then, in complete darkness. And so when I finally came out of it, and I'm like, my impulses are not wrong. I'm not inherently bad. The thing that wants to come through me, the things I'm interested in, are just that, interests, preferences. And I'm allowed to follow them without other people telling me you're bad for doing it. And magic was just one of those things that just drew me in like a moth to the flame. Exactly because I was told to stay away from it. And I'm so glad that I did. And and that's the thing, like, I'm not rejecting any of it. I just started doing my rituals again a couple of weeks ago. I know. And crazy shit's happening when I do that, but
Keep it up. Keep it up.
Yeah, I am. But I want to combine it with the thing, like I want to connect with every part of me. Because there's also the part that wants to be a Christian nun, like in a conventional monastery, in a structured setting where I'm in relationship with a community and I'm taken care of, and I can just focus on my relationship to God, basically. And then I'm going to sneak in some magic too when no one's looking. But
I think that's like one of the parts that is really missing from the Christian church is the occult, magic, those things. And that's, I think, at least to me, I feel like quite often churches, it's like congregations, you feel there's something good, but also it feels like dead, it feels lifeless, it feels, And I think a huge reason for that is just completely rejecting all the occult things that are supposed to be in any religion.
Right. It's like a shell of what it used to be. And they still, the nuns have a lot of ritual. You have the morning prayer. Like I was reading up on it because I'm not very familiar with the Catholic. And Protestantism, I think, is even more removed from this ritualized way of being. So there are rituals, but they feel so lifeless to me. Like when I rewatched the documentary about the nuns, it's like, Ja, Jesus, wir lieben dich, du, da, da. Like, it was like, where's the, like,
Really? That's how you express your love?
yeah, let's fucking do this, Like, where's the passion and the life force? It's just watered down, diluted, But still, you can feel it is heart-centered. I can feel that. It's very much heart-centered, but not down in your crotch anymore. And that's why I love Carolyn's work, because she's trying to bring all of these parts together somehow, that nothing is exiled. And I don't pretend like I want to bring this into a monastery, because that would be kind of wild. But it's one part of me that I want to serve, and then I want to do, I want to serve other parts too. But it's like a long lost little exile that just wants to be a good girl, little nun, obeying God in these lifeless ways. And we'll see where it takes me.
This is a good time for me to go and get my computer plugged in.
So I wanted to show you something. I went to a retreat with Damien Eccles a couple of weekends ago.
Oh, exciting!
Yeah, and it was in
You're working with the great ones.
It was in partnership with two Swedish magicians, and I think they have a whole mystery school in Sweden, if I remember, Academia Magi. I don't know. I'll have to find it and I can send it to you. But Tommy, one of the facilitators, Westlund, one of the Swedish facilitators, he wrote this book. And it's like one of those, it was written by
Duke Charles of Sweden? No.
No, but Duke Charles of Sweden is a dude in the 18th century, a Rosicrucian order, who wrote a whole ritual on how to, I think it's about gaining knowledge and conversation of the Holy Guardian Angel, but also about more. And it's based on the Christian tradition. And that is something I would love to do, like in a monastery with others, stuff like that. Like just that's basically
Go ahead.
the
There's nothing in the Bible that says you can't,
right.
and then it's okay.
But it's the fusion of magic and our Christian tradition, or mystical tradition, gnosis, and it's pretty involved. Like I haven't read through the whole thing, but I think you set up a whole sacred area in your house that's square and only you can access it, and then you have to make your own magical like instruments, and for 6 months you say prayers, and for the first 2 months it's once a day, second 2 months twice a day, and then the last 2 months it's thrice a day, and it's very involved. And I'm like, see, that's where are the spaces to do this as a group and just fully dedicate yourself? And
right,
that's the shit that I want to do.
That sounds great.
So if anyone out there knows of a place or wants to create one that's fully dedicated to this kind of work, I'm all in.
Cool.
Ora et labora.
Yeah, et labora, et labora. Wow. Yeah, how was the retreat?
Very different from what I expected. And there's another thing. It was 4 facilitators, and one of them wasn't on the official list because he is living a beautiful double life of an Orthodox priest. And
maybe you should ask him where you could find your little magical monastery.
I know. I did talk to him. I had a wonderful, enlightening conversation with him, and I'm so grateful. Like, sometimes I knew I just had to go for this one conversation. And because I was struggling with, this is all the stuff I was trying to get away from. This is all the baggage from my childhood, and I've gone through this whole journey just to come full circle back to Jesus. Is that what's happening? Like, what the fuck? And I'm still like struggling in the space, but
basically the sun thing and the circle again.
Right. And he gave me so much peace around. He said, keep doing your rituals. Actually, that's why I really started diving into them again. He said, these rituals, like for those who are curious, the Kabbalistic cross, the middle pillar, the LBRP, those kinds of rituals, doing them over years and years is what led him to become an Orthodox priest. God wanted him to go into that, and he didn't want to initially, but he felt so much peace around it, and that's when I got back to the whole nun thing, because I'm like, well, now I'm on this magical path. Now I can't do shit like this anymore. Like it's just like, I don't even know how my brain is. But oh my gosh, this has always been a thing. This is what it means to be in relationship to a part of you that wants to be heard and wants to be taken serious and wants to be related to. And he gave me so much peace around. Actually, I'm going to tell him soonish that my plans are, I'm going to be living with nuns for a while. So yeah, so it was like one of those, I don't even know why I'm going. I bought the ticket. I'm like, oh, cool, Damien Eccles. But I haven't been into his work. And I just went and had some profound connections. And now I'm over here feeling really good about my own path again, and how there are no boxes. You just follow your heart and you get to, Corinna. It's okay.
Yes. Yes.
Yes. So it's weird. It's so weird. Nun. Why a nun?
I don't know. Weird. Why a Christian nun in Germany?
Yeah. Why? I mean, they did talk about that too, because one of my questions was, they talked about the three stages of consciousness, this sublunar, or the geocentric, I think it's called, the lunar consciousness, where it's just a reflection. You think you found the thing, but it's just a reflection. It's not the actual thing, it's the illusion. And then the solar consciousness, which is the light. And part of the sublunar is that you're conditioned into your family, into your culture, into whatever it is you grew up with. And that also means you are part of a collective unconscious. And the symbolism that is in this unconscious, the symbolism that is in this unconscious, no, in this collective unconscious, there we go. The symbolism that's part of the collective unconscious. And they said, the first stage is you have to decondition. And my question was, well, but do we ever really fully decondition? Because I'm obviously sitting here and are interested in Western traditions and not somewhere in Nepal trying to become a Buddhist. And the answer that made so much sense to me was that yes, so it's an acknowledgement of we are conditioned, but since the symbolism is already there, why not lean into it? Why not work with your own historical background, with the knowing that this is just one of many ways to get to the thing that we're all seeking. But it's so much quicker with the symbolism you already understand, because in these other cultures, some of the things you haven't even heard until your 20s or even 30s. For me, it was...
Yeah, I've heard people say that, but I don't buy it. It's usually people who don't meditate and talk about how meditation doesn't work. It's like, well, meditate 2 hours a day for a year, and then we can talk about if it's working or not. But like, unless you do that, like, don't tell me it's not working. It's like the same if somebody is like, well, those Rosicrucian stuff, I think it doesn't work because it's Christian, but like then they never got initiated and don't do their daily rituals, and then I don't buy it. I don't.
I know what you're saying. And they did say that they dabble into all of these things, like not just dabble, like they were committed to a lot of these other modalities. And then in the end, they ended up back with what they were brought up, basically, or what was part of their collective unconscious, the symbolism. And to me, I think you're right. I think some people don't have a very deep connection to certain things in their culture. So it's much easier for them to just take on someone else's set of symbolisms. For me, I have a hard time. Every time I'm sitting here in the Buddhist temple on the island, and Rinpoche is talking to us, and we are meditating, and he's teaching all these concepts, I'm like, this feels fake. This feels like I'm culturally appropriating something. This feels like it's performative. It's like I can't fully connect with any of it because it feels so strange to me. But when I think about being a nun,
See, I don't have that feeling at all.
yeah,
I feel like in a Buddhist temple, it's more relaxing at home feeling than a Christian church. And like if I think about like especially Catholic Church, if we're talking about like feeling performative, I feel like that's the might also be because I did not go to Catholic Church so much when I was or not at all when I was a child, but you know.
yeah. So I don't think it's that he's performing, that I'm performing. So, and I don't doubt that all the other people sitting in the room taking this very serious feel like they are performing. But I'm realizing for myself, there is such a deep, deep, deep history. Like both of my parents are basically preachers. You know, they were missionaries. And my mom studied theology. She could have been a pastor. My grandfather, said grandfather, was also a preacher. You know, it's so deeply in my roots that it feels more real to stay with the thing that I was raised with and just expand into all the things that are possible with this path than to escape into another culture's way of doing things and just feeling like I'm not anchored there. I guess that's a good way to put it. I don't feel anchored. Like the ocean is the same thing. It's the same water, it's the same potentiality, but I'm not anchored in it. And that feels unsettling to me.
Yeah.
But I don't doubt that other people have again, I feel like we all have very different constitutions. It's like some people are just have an easy time with relationships. I don't. My whole last post was about how I think I'm not made for relationship. That's like the conclusion I've come to. I don't think I'm built for intimate relationships. I am capable of depth, but I don't stay. Like I just want to run at one point. Like I don't want to sustain it. And at the long term,
But that doesn't mean you're not built for intimate relationships. It might be you're just built for like many shorter ones.
maybe, but that's painful. Again, that we're back into this. Do I really want to throw myself into life like that?
You tell me, do you want to?
Well, I don't know. I don't know if I do. I tried, and you were like front row seat last year with the whole drama that happened, unfolded, but I feel like I'm still not recovered from that. Like it's such a long integration phase. I'm like, I'd rather just not bother with it and go straight to God. Just skipping over humans altogether.
Yeah, that sounds like a nun thing.
Right? That's what I thought. That's what's been coming up for me. And maybe that's the thing that I need to go in fully, fill its little cup, and then miraculously, I don't know, suddenly I'm all about relationship. Who knows? I don't know what's gonna happen.
Or the opposite. You go in check it out for a little, and then you're like, well, this is so much better than all this relationship stuff that everybody is so hyped about.
Yeah. I think that might be a very possible outcome. And I'm a little scared of that, but if it makes me feel good, then who cares?
I would be super scared of it, but I also think if it's the thing, then it's just like think about how awesome everything will be.
Yeah. It's like you finding your person. And before you couldn't like, oh, I don't want to ever get married or have kids, and then you suddenly find the person.
And then
And
you're like, oops, change my mind.
exactly. Like, and then it doesn't matter that there's nothing to be scared about because you just know this is it. This is the path. And so, and maybe that won't happen. Maybe I will realize, wow, I really do want relationship and I really want to give it a go. And I really, maybe that's my edge. Maybe I'm still in this phase of running away. And and maybe I need that right now, coming out of an almost 20-year relationship with your first boyfriend and not having had any other experiences except for one tiny one outside of that. And it's like, yeah, strengthening the bond with myself first and foremost. Because what I'm noticing with me, my own pattern is getting lost in relationships. I feel like I enter it strongly. I know what I want, what I'm looking for, who I am. At least I think I know, I have a good grasp on it. And once you get attached, you start contorting, and it becomes in service to keeping something alive rather than to staying true to myself. And it's an automatic thing. It happens unconsciously for me. I don't even know when that point is. And I'm scared that it happens, that I lose myself so easily. And it can be little things, like literally me going to yoga with a specific teacher. And then they stop teaching, and then I stop doing yoga because obviously I can only do yoga if that teacher is teaching. Like it becomes an attachment. And instead of, but I wanted to do yoga because it's good for me and I'm going to find another way, the loyalty to the person is bigger than my loyalty to myself. That is also a realization over the last 4 or 5 days or so that I had about myself.
Wow, new ones coming. Yeah.
Yeah, again, the rituals are really intensifying shit for me. And
Oh, I'm so curious how that will be when you're like in this community with all the nuns.
if I even get in, it's the other.
Yeah, you do some
Yeah,
magic
I
and
know.
you will get in.
True.
And it's really not like I don't think they. I think the profession of nun it does not have as many applicants as it once used to have. I think you'll get in.
Although 16 years ago in that documentary, they said that this whole monastery for a certain amount of time has been wildly popular. So I'm obviously you're not becoming a nun, but you're living with them and you're spending the whole day with them. But I think it is I think they started doing it so that it can be a pipeline into, well, why don't I just stay and then become part of the whole thing. But yeah, it's not that popular these days, and maybe it is, Lars, because there's so much uncertainty now, and you can't trust what you see online anymore. It's all AI. It's all algorithms and echo chambers and people behind screens and nothing real. And so something like a monastery where you do daily work with other people and you're in close contact with other people and it's real and it's like, I'm over here telling you I'm not made for a relationship, and that's probably living in a community is the challenge for relationships. It's not like I'm escaping anything. It's like I'm throwing myself into the lion's den, if anything.
I feel that's
So
kind of what society is about to learn again, is how to have communities and how to have real world relationships with living people made of flesh and blood, because everybody's craving it.
yeah, yeah, yeah. Do you believe in the dead internet theory?
No, not really. But I think that people are waking up to what is missing from the internet.
Right. I can see how once AI fully takes over and you can't really trust anything anymore, then it's almost like for survival you have to remove yourself again and find human community, in-person communities. So yeah, and maybe part of that, because there's so much uncertainty in the world in general right now, like all these old structures are crumbling. Our democracies, if they ever were any, are on shaky ground, and people
Well, certainly less of a tyrannic or despotic system than at other times.
still,
I know people like to shit about how but like still better.
we don't have references. Yeah, like people talking about the world ending and everything going to shit. I'm like, how did a person feel 1938,
That's
9?
so interesting. Like I think it was Kandinsky, one of those like early 20th century artists. I read how they were talking about how they feel like everything is speeding up and everything is so unreliable, and now they have Röntgen and can like look through things, so like not even things are things anymore, and
They had the same thing.
it's the same thing that everybody's talking about now. The same thing.
Yeah, except that, well, we don't know what's going to happen, but there actually was massive war throughout Europe where you could genuinely think the world is ending. And then the Spanish flu right after that took like 20 million lives. Like it was fucking crazy. And we think this is bad. Like people lose perspective.
And people were happy when the First World War started because they felt like, well, finally there's movement in the system.
Well, I'm sure that's what people are hoping for here too. Some civil war kind of situation where they can finally like let out some steam, and
Yeah,
that's crazy.
there might be something, to the, okay, we want change, we want movement, but also like, how do we go about it? It's also
I don't think there's anything wrong with wanting change.
I think a huge part of it is also people being afraid of the change, and they're so sick and tired of being afraid that they just want it to happen now.
Like it's the self-fulfilling prophecy of speeding things up.
A bit, yeah.
Yeah, by not being able to sit in the tension, as
Yeah.
Carl Jung so beautifully says, the old and between the old and the new. It's true. Like they have to something has to pop because they can't. I feel like that's my personality too.
Don't like waiting, don't like tension.
Yes, and like jumping to wanting to make a decision right now to feel relief. And that can also mean, oh, I'm going to cancel that person, which I never do. But I had that come up in the last week, that I just want to cut a person out of my life.
Sometimes it's the right thing.
Yeah, I don't know if it's really called for. Like I kind of started it, and then she responded, and I'm like, oh, I don't know, maybe, yeah.
Oh no.
And so, being in this self-righteous space of I get to do this, and then realizing, Corinna, you're half the equation, and now honestly, this is very new to me because, again, losing yourself in relationship. What does that entail? That entails not communicating what you want, what you need, maybe even your expectations, if there even should be any. I don't know, that's debatable, but basically the thing you're trying to get out of this relationship, or how you are willing to show up, the capacity you have to show up, none of that is ever communicated. So when the other person doesn't, that's basically what I try to write without going into too much detail. When the other person doesn't deliver this projection I have onto her, how you have to show up for me in relationship, I become resentful. And on an intellectual level, I know that it has nothing to do with the other person. But still, I feel I'm not being met, and it's so painful. So where do I draw the line of, well, you fucked up by not communicating, but also it's too, like, you always have to find a match for the stance. So it has two sides to it, and
Yeah.
So I don't want to take full responsibility, but I know. I'm really struggling with it, because it comes from a place of, I don't want to hurt the other person. Like, if I speak my mind honestly, I'm going to hurt the other person. So I'd rather just dance around it, and because the relationship is more important to me than, what I might think, or my hurt feelings or anything, and then I try to keep it to myself instead of saying it. So there's just so much built up.
So it's like this self-sacrificing going on there.
Yes. And to me, it's like, fuck, I don't like this anymore, and I'm just gonna cut off this dance partner. Because I really do feel that particular person, she didn't respond to my message for a full year after I said I would be in Germany. And if she wanted an in-person meeting, and maybe even have like a little family gathering or something, never responded. And that really threw me into, what did I do wrong? Like, why? I must be not that important. And did I say something bad? Like, I was so sick and tired of that. And then she reaches out, hey, Corinna, I was just thinking about you. How are you doing? And I'm a personality, when you ask me a question, I'm an open book, and I will answer in great detail. And then I would love to know how you're doing. And then when nothing comes back, I feel like extracted from. But that's the thing. Like, I'm setting myself up for that by getting ahead of myself. And so I'm like, yeah, I'm going to cut this person out of my life. And now it's like not clear anymore. Is it really called for or not? Or anyway, so I'm
So you want to cut her out of your life because she did not respond to you for 1 year.
yeah, and there's a long history of other things too. Of opening up, telling a lot of details about my life, and then just very little, getting like no response, or just very little, very superficial. And I'm like, I don't want any of this anymore. But also, I have been the person that's just not responding. I'm actually playing that role more than opening up, because I for me it's very hard to do like these online relationships now that life is happening in real life. I have such a hard time keeping up with people, with very dear friends, and it can be months before I get back. So I'm no better. That's the thing, Lars.
Right. Yeah, it is weird. It's like how I do it for myself. It's like I feel like online relationships are online, but it switches when it becomes real life. So if somebody's like, "Hey, let's meet," then like that's a different thing, But I'm always so worried that when I'm like, okay, real physical life now takes priority, and then I don't respond to people the way I feel they deserve, that then I'm super worried always that they will basically do what you're thinking about doing, that they will be just like, well, fuck that guy. I wrote him like a couple of weeks ago and he still hasn't responded. It means he must not care. That's not it. It's just because sometimes text messages are just annoying.
Yeah, I agree. They are they are so annoying. I hate them.
Right.
But that's the thing, like I'd rather just not have, and how honest are you? Because there's this other friend in my life, and that's why I mean, like it came as a packed punch into my life, where these three people that I've had quite intense relationships with all came into my sphere again, but everyone playing a different role. And this other friend that I was just made earlier last year, and then she moved away to Portland, she texted me, "I miss you," after she kind of canceled our friendship, like, well, you didn't read my mind that I was not doing great, and you didn't reach out, and I was very disappointed, so I guess this friendship is over because you're not putting in the time, you're not getting back to me, you're never reaching out. And I'm like, well, okay, if you want this friendship to be over, that's, I guess, fine, but maybe you can also let me know when you're not doing great, because I haven't been doing great either during that time. And I reached out to my mentors, and so now she's reaching out, "I miss you, missing you." And I'm like, honestly, I don't miss you. I don't even know if I miss people. That's my problem. I don't even miss my own daughter, Lars. Like,
Are you afraid that that's bad that you don't miss people?
yeah, I don't like, I miss my daughter when she's gone for very long, but when she's gone for a month, I don't miss her. I'm actually glad she's gone. Like, I'm really.
Yeah, I don't think that's bad.
You think that's bad?
No, I don't.
Oh, I thought you said it was bad. Like, I don't like what I feel like I should be missing people because they mean something to me. Like, honestly, I don't miss a single person in my life. I don't miss my parents, my siblings, my friends. I'm just, the only thing I miss is this thing that I must have known at one point, because how can you miss something that you don't know? And it is this emptiness in my heart. And I think that's God. That's the only thing I ever missed. Ah. And I feel bad that people miss me and they want to be in relationship with me, and I just can't give that. I can't sustain it, because I know that no human can give me the thing that I'm actually looking for. And I can't give that to others either, because I think that's what we're all seeking. And then we're getting graspy with other people, the neediness and the like clinginess that's just so ick to me. But I've also done, because I misplaced that seeking onto a person. So, yeah, I feel like I'm such a Unmensch. I don't know what that means in English, but
If I would look at it from a Buddhist perspective, I would say, well, you're probably a person who has like meditated a lot and cut through a lot of the superficial layers of illusions and attachments and things like that. And like feeling some calls from past lives or what, like
yeah.
things like that,
Mm-hmm.
But from that perspective, it would not. I would argue it's not a sign of like anything wrong or bad, or it's like on the contrary, maybe. And also, there are a couple of things, like because missing can be well, missing and caring for somebody. I think they are very, very, and like missing somebody, caring for somebody, and wanting to be in a relationship with that person. They're like very different things.
Yeah. Well, I don't miss anyone.
Uh-huh.
I don't care much either.
See, that one, I'm not sure about that, but keep going.
Okay, define care. Caring for someone.
You really wish that they're happy.
Oh yeah, I do that.
See?
Yeah.
And I think that's the important one. And missing somebody is like, I wish they would be here, or I am suffering because they are not here.
Right.
And
Yeah.
like, why? It's not helping anybody. It's not even helping you. It's especially if you're suffering because somebody is not there. Like, that's not something to aspire to.
Mm-hmm. Yeah.
And then wishing they would be there, I mean, like, nice, but also not necessary. And in many situations, especially if they can't be there, also, like, what's the benefit of wishing that they would be?
Right. You know what's really funny, Lars? I'm just realizing something. I'm such a hypocrite because a lot of my writing is all about how to be in relationship with other people. And it's the thing that I obviously don't know how to do, but I'm talking about as if I knew anything about it, you know? But again, it's like the teacher is
Yeah,
teaching
but you're figuring it out,
the
and
thing that
yeah,
they needed to learn themselves, you know, that's it comes down to that. But
right.
yeah, it's like I want people to get along. I want people to care about each other. I want people to genuinely want the best for each other and not just, you know, point the finger, but like, how am I creating this whole thing, co-creating it? So because that's been my journey. And at the same time, I don't want to be in relationship with anyone right now. It doesn't matter if it's platonic or romantic. I mean, that's even further away. But like even platonic, I'm like, no. I don't want any of this pull on my nervous system that I gotta be there for someone. I love being there for my daughter. But anyone else, I don't give a shit about. I care, but I don't give a shit about the the ongoing connection, if you will. And maybe that will nip me in the butt because that's at the end of the day, that's all we have, the connections. And if I, cut everyone off and be like, sorry, I'm not gonna, I don't have the capacity to be in a connection right now. Maybe in a couple of years, I'm gonna lose everyone and I'm gonna be all alone. And then one day I'm like, whoa, well, I don't know what that was, but what did I do there? But Lars, I don't know. I'm in such a weird space right now.
I don't think there's anything wrong with it, with what you just told me. Like, I mean, it sounds like you want to do the hermit thing for a while, just like live on a mountain, pray, get closer to God,
Yes.
and
Maybe
it's
even,
not wrong. It's like,
yeah.
do you remember like all the fairy tales, like when the hero, before he goes off to his quest, he goes to see the hermit, and she stays one night at the hermit's lodge before they go off to the wilderness, and the hermit gives them like some magical item or like some healing herbs or something like that. And it's like the hermit can do that only because they usually don't see anybody.
Right. And that first reminds me, I never finished my sentence from earlier. This whole losing yourself in relationship only happens because I'm so afraid of being alone. Like if I want to preserve, if I come from a place of fear that if this is not going to work out, I'm going to be forever alone and unliked and unworthy and unloved for the rest of my life. Of course, I'm going to be in weird codependent, distorted relationships with other people because I haven't befriended the whole just, hey, I can be totally fine by myself. And I think that's the thing I want to learn right now. And I wrote about it earlier because I became so aware of this part, this loneliness part. I put it in a poem, and I framed it in a way that, thank you for knocking on my door all of these years and just never leaving me alone. Like, even in my loneliest moments, you're like, tuck, 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 let me in. And how it's been my only constant companion that's always there, the loneliness. And when I think about my life, it's a succession of decisions that got me more and more isolated from when I was 7 years old. I grew up in a very tightly knit community, and I fucking loved it. I was in a multi-generational home with my grandparents and my cousins, and big house full of life. And then we moved away into this tiny little village, and I fucking hated it. My life ended. That's how it felt like. It was a death. And my mom said for days and weeks, I would sit under the table and just cry. And because I was pulled out of this fullness into an isolated place, and it took me years to even find a single friend in this new place. And then the decision to come to the States at the age of 16, another like, whoa, now I'm away from my family and I'm living with complete strangers. And that really pulled the rug from under me because they made everything wrong about me, about my art, about my clothing, the fact that my family was so sadistic and would send a child away that wouldn't even speak English into a different country into school, and I failed all of my classes. It was like, whoa, I'm so alone now. And then I got myself into a relationship that basically was a self-made monastery.
Wow.
for almost 20 years, and all I had was this one person in another country that disapproved of me every day of my life. So it's like life nudging me of just fucking loneliness is gonna be an archetype you're gonna work with probably until the rest of my life. I don't know. And it's up to you whether you want to befriend it or not. It's just so pervasive. And I think that's like, there's this desire of just, what if I do it consciously instead of suffering? Oh my God, now I'm lost this thing and now I lost that thing, and I'm even more lonely and gets lonelier and lonelier by the year. What if I consciously just be like, let me remove all of the people willingly. Let me isolate myself willingly. Because I'm choosing it, because I want to befriend it. And it's again, it comes back to following that inner knowing is foolish. It looks foolish on the outside. No one will understand your decisions, and you still have to trust it somehow. And I'm afraid that people don't get it, that they take it personal, that it's something against them instead of me choosing myself. I'm scared.
It also sounds a bit like it is you feel like, okay, life was always making you lonely, and now you're like, now I'm doing it on my own.
Right.
So if I just go away like from everybody else, then they can't leave me because I already left.
Yes. But it's a conscious choice.
Yeah, it's because if they leave you, it might mean that they might not like you, they might not love you, you might not be lovable. But if you leave, then that doesn't mean that at all.
Right. You know, now that I think about it, I've never really been canceled by anyone. There was one person that blocked me, and it was the most devastating thing ever. But other than that, people do reach out. You know, they do care. And it's me who's retreating. And it's not even that I'm afraid that, well, maybe I am. There are certain people in my life where I would say I was very afraid of losing them, but I didn't make peace with that. And maybe it's about making peace with all of it. And then it's up to them to decide, well, Corinna, if you treat me like this, and because of your decisions, that also means it has a certain effect on my life and how I feel, and I don't want that, like I don't want this back in my life, then being at peace with that too. You know, that people don't have me back when I'm out of this phase, if I will ever be out of this phase. I don't know.
I think if you would be like, even if you would move to a literal mountaintop and then like somewhere in your 80s, you write me a letter and be like, oh, Lars, this is getting boring. How about you come for a visit? If my legs still work well enough, then I would love to come, you know.
But I also never said, Lars, I'm going to cut you out of my life. I don't ever want to see you again because I'm trying out the lonely path now. And you'd be like, oh,
yeah, but
why?
you know, you can
What did
say
I
it.
do?
You can say it like with a bit more like sensibility, maybe, and then it might get over
Well,
better.
that's the thing. That's the thing. Like, for some people, I think it doesn't really matter how sensible you say it. They're going to take it personal, especially if there was a long history of closeness.
Yeah.
Like, why all of a sudden would you end this relationship? And actually, that makes me think of something else that I did a few years ago. I blocked every relative of mine except for a few on Instagram, because I felt like I could not be my authentic self. I could not unfold in the ways that I needed to unfold while I'm being watched through these eyes that I created stories around. Like, it has nothing to do with the other people. It's the things that I projected onto them, what they might think if I do this and that. Like the filters you put on when thinking about writing something, and then you filtered it through 10 different opinions already before you even start writing, just because you know all of these people, these ominous entities, will see it. And to eliminate that for myself, I just blocked everyone, and I felt so miserable doing it, because I knew it had nothing to do with the other people. It has nothing to do with that I didn't like my cousin. I love my cousins. I whenever I see them in person, it's great. I have good conversations, but I didn't want them to see me in this online space because of my own stories I created, what they would think about me and their opinions, you know. And still, I think people took it personal. I didn't announce it. Hey,
I mean, can't blame them.
Yeah, you can't. I didn't announce it. I didn't say, hey, by the way, I just cancel all of you. But they probably noticed, and they can't, they don't have access to at least I don't think they do, to my profile. I would take that. I would be a person who would be butt hurt. And still it was a necessary decision. And I'm still not in a space where I feel like I can lift that block. And I feel bad about it. And still, I don't know why I need to do it. I don't know. I just know I have to. It's painful. Relationships are painful because I really don't want to hurt anyone else. And here I am just.
And also you don't want to get hurt yourself.
And I don't want to get hurt myself. Yeah. But at the end of the day, what can I do? Like I'm going to keep being in this weird dance with all of you if I can't fully locate myself. And I can only do that without the eyes on me or the expectations on me that I have to be a certain way to keep something alive with you. You know, I have to be able to evolve in whichever way, and then I can come from a very authentic place. And it's much better, but right now I'm just not there.
I do get that. I do get that.
Yeah.
It's like I have that a lot when I start, when I start new things. It's like, it's like growing a tree. If it's like a tiny, tiny baby tree, you don't want anybody to step on it. So you protect it. You give it its own little space to grow. And then when it's a full-grown tree, like it doesn't matter, nobody can step on it.
Right. All it needs is good soil, water, and full sun.
Yes. And time.
And time. Yeah, exactly. It's been a weird. I think the best way to put it is I have no idea what I'm doing. I really don't.
Oh man, I can feel that. I have it so often that, especially since I started doing new things, that I'm in the evening, I'm just like, what the fuck? What was that day? Did any of the things I did during that day, did any of them help me in any way and bring me in any way closer where I want to go? And by the way, where do I even want to go? Because I have no clue what I'm doing. I have no clue what direction I'm going in. It's just, it feels like this might be a way to some place. And that's like all I have, and I'm working with that.
Mm-hmm. Yeah.
And why did I leave this old place, which was pretty okay, for this?
Right. That's such a good point. So ever since I started working with Candace and doing like these one-on-one journeys with medicine, she urged me to do these little dates with myself, specifically cannabis, to really get back into my body. And I did one after a long time this past Monday, I think it was. Or was it Sunday night? I don't remember. Doesn't matter. And I watched, do you know the series Fleabag?
I never watched it.
A couple of people recommended it, and so I decided to give it a go. And I was so disgusted by it in the beginning. Like, this is the opposite of me. I just found it so ugh. But I don't know what episode it was. It started getting real. And I could feel my high come on. And it was the situation that just really made me wail. Because they had like this really honest conversation about they're just fucking in pain. And all they want is, like this guy was saying, all I want is to be back with my wife and my kids and make them feel safe. And like, it still makes me cry. And I'm thinking of, my own marriage and how happy I was when my daughter was little. And we had this really beautiful bubble in time. And that was her first imprint into life. And then I burst that bubble for her by leaving. And I could feel this full-on grief, like they are my life. You know, this is all that really matters. And here I am. What the fuck am I even doing? You know? What am I wasting my time with? I don't know. I have no idea. And yet I can't help but just follow the impulses, because that's the one thing I couldn't do in that relationship, that I just could freely follow where my heart says, you need to go there. You need to look at this. If you really want to do your shadow work, if you want to do the great work, if you want to do all the things you say, if you want to get back to God, you have to face all of this. And the only way you can do it is to go through it. And so it was like, again, realizing there was this part of me that just wanted to reach out right now and tell my daughter how much I loved her, and even my ex-partner how much I miss him. Like, the tension was so great, and I realized, oh, this is what it means to stay with the tension, is to allow the grief full blown, as if it's the realest thing you've ever experienced. And it feels so significant and profound. And then you feel all of it. And then you come out the other side of, and it's just another wave. And it's not the end all be all truth, capital T truth, that you need to be this. But the grief is real and you get to feel it. And so it's like, ugh, fuck. And maybe that's what I'm coming back to after all of this epic journey, that this is the essential thing, but I haven't completed the journey yet. And so it's like, can you stay with the tension without wanting to make a rash decision to go back to the thing that you had?
Yeah, right.
Right.
Oh man.
And that's sort of the thing I'm just learning right now. To just let the waves take you, and you experience them as if there's nothing else. And this is the realest thing.
And it is in the moment.
And then they're gone. And it is in the moment. And they're gone, but I take it for the thing instead of just staying with it. And it's like you becoming nauseous on a journey, and can you stay with the nauseousness without letting it take you over, without giving into it, without puking everything out again? Can you stay with it? You know, it's the same. Or can you stay with the sensation of sleepiness without falling asleep? That's the kind of thing I'm practicing right now. And for people like Corinna, what the fuck, just they're, you know, they're like, for some people maybe they've already reached that point of, yeah, there's really nothing more important than family. Like, when it comes down to it, why don't you just, because I haven't completed my own journey, maybe you have, and that's the end point for you, and you're fully at peace with where you are. But every time I go back to this rash thing, because it feels so real, I'm like, I'm in a fucking cage. I just caged myself. I imprisoned myself again, because I believed that this was the only wave that ever mattered, you know? So it's just,
It's also like, when I look on the life that I left, there's a reason for it, and the reason is that it did not feel honest to my heart to stay in it. And
right?
yeah, so it comes down to, like, how much do I trust my own heart that it's making the right decisions? And I think ultimately, even if I even if it would not have been the right decision, it's still the right decision to listen to your heart.
Right.
And it doesn't mean like going on intuition with everything and going with the flow, blah, blah, blah. But like, if you feel this is, I want to do this, I'm done with it, it's over, it's not the thing anymore, then to be honest about it.
Yeah. Yeah.
And then that's also something that you're like giving your daughter and other people and so on, that you're not like painting a fake picture of, you know, happy da da da, but like being like, this is the truth, and I value the truth, and then model this way of life.
Right. That's basically essentially my spiritual journey. That it started with the cognitive dissonance of I have this small human in front of me, and I'm in full approval of her feelings and her desires and her experience. Like, I couldn't love her more, whether she was telling me I'm a fucking asshole or I love you. I want to kill you, mama, and you're the best thing that ever happened. Like, it doesn't matter. I'm like, yes to all of it. And here I am doubting, questioning, second guessing, judging every single one of my impulses. Why can't I give myself the same full approval that I'm giving to this little human in front of me? And I'm talking about tiny human. Obviously, she couldn't speak at that point, but that's when it started. Like, you really want something, and there's nothing wrong with you wanting that thing, and I also can't give it to you, but there's nothing wrong for you to want this. Instead of stop your fucking cry. I don't know how people relate. Like, there's nothing to cry about. Like,
Yeah, that's
you
weird.
know, this constantly being invalidated, that there's something wrong with you acting this way, reacting this way, wanting certain things, being too slow, being too quick, being too this, being too that. There was always something wrong with me. That was my conditioning. Corinna, why can't you just fucking chill out? Why do you have to be so big and so dramatic? And well, because I'm a Leo, actually astrology gave me so much kind of gave me such a confidence boost in a lot of ways when I realized, oh my God, this is like all programmed into me.
It's not my fault, it's the sun's
It's
fault.
not my fault. It's not at all. Like, there's a blueprint in all of us that makes us, like, when I didn't get the attention that I wanted as this big Leo personality, I would just draw negative attention, because negative attention is better than no attention. And I know it made everyone's life difficult. But again, can I give myself that? My parents tried the best. I love my parents. My dad was always my biggest fan. I know that. And I'm my daughter's biggest fan. But can I learn to be my own biggest fan? And that's when it really hit me, like, holy shit, where did I go wrong? That I'm so hard on myself. And the only thing I can do right now is, from this very, very far away place of who I truly am authentically, and I have no idea where to even go, in what direction. Can I just start believing myself in little things, and maybe even the big things, like leaving a relationship that never worked, even if it's so painful and I love the person, and there's so much gratitude, but it just was never, it was a fucking prison. Can I, and that was one of the biggest things I needed to work through. The biggest blocks is, Corinna, you're not bad or evil for leaving a family, for leaving a situation that you suffered in, and you couldn't bloom in the way. Like, I was wilting. I was literally wilting. And it would mean deeply hurting the most precious people in my life, by making this decision. And I'm still working through the fallout of that decision, and yeah, it's like you said, there the even if it's the wrong decision. I don't think there is a wrong decision when it comes to following your heart, because even that took you through something you needed to learn to be yet closer to yourself. And I couldn't do that. That's the thing I couldn't do. I couldn't make the wrong decisions. I couldn't make the mistakes that I needed to make to find back to myself. And I'm still having a hard time making mistakes. Again, coming back to fully throwing yourself into life. And that also means heartbreak, stepping on people's toes. So it's just, it's a clusterfuck.
Yeah.
It really is.
Fucking life.
Life is a clusterfuck. It's a shit show.
Yeah, absolutely. It's messy, bloody.
Yeah. And I guess it all comes down to, can we embrace the shit show?
Can we enjoy it?
Can we start learning? Yeah, can we enjoy slinging around shit in other people's faces and then laughing our asses off, and them laughing too?
Yeah, and having shit slung into our own face.
Yeah, exactly.
Sorry for that picture.
No, this is the best analogy. Like, you can be bummed out about the stench and you feeling stuck and it's sludgy and yucky and ugh, or you can just like picking shit up and starting slinging it too and making a game out of it. That's why I want to live the divine dumpster life. It comes back to that. I want to go dumpster diving and eat moldy shit and enjoy it.
Jesus.
No. Anyways, wow, almost 1:30. That's insane. That was what, almost 2.5 hours.
Kind of apt that we started the whole conversation off with comedy.
Yeah, the Fool. I think the Fool will get you through life. When you've mastered that archetype, I think you're golden. I think the sun is shining out of your ass if you're the Fool. That's the goal.
Do you feel we should call it?
I feel like we came full circle, don't you think?
That's it. Thanks a lot for being on the show.
Yes. Thank you for asking me.
Whew. That was wonderful. It felt surround. It felt just like...
No, this was great. Wow, I can't believe all the things I reveal about myself. It's like I'm going to have a vulnerability hangover. But it's part of life.
Nah, it's good. It's great. People will be like, love that show, love that person. She's amazing.
You're like, that's just how it's going to be.
Yeah.
Well,